Get ready to take a look behind the scenes and enter the impossible for the Between Two Minds podcast with our hosts, Judge Mentalist and Bernardo Rodriguez. Can they really tell you what you're thinking?
Hello. Good afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you are. We're here with another great presenter. This is Judge Mentalist coming at you with a great 2025 Performing Hypnosis Summit preview. Here I am. I'm happy to introduce and share thoughts and talk to a person who I really think embodies the community that is hypnosis. If there is something that needs to be done, if there is a conversation that is happening that is about moving this industry forward, no doubt Michael DeSchalit is either a part of it, leading it, or at least somebody that people are reaching out to say, hey, buddy, what do you think about this? We're trying to take things in this direction. A mover and a shaker, a Las Vegas performer, both in magic and hypnosis, among other things. Because you're in Vegas, good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. Wait, this isn't the Amway conference?
Not yet.
Okay. It's the PHS thing. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. I remember now. Okay, good. Had to get back to where I was. It's Vegas.
Do I need to put the link for people to just put their credit card information in now, and we can worry about that later?
Just sign up now. All we need is your name and your social security number to get started. That's right. It is morning in Vegas, and it's going to be 75 degrees here today. So it's a beautiful day in paradise. And see, I can say that because technically the Las Vegas Strip is in a town called Paradise. It's not actually Las Vegas. Yeah. So we always say another day in paradise.
And you're not just being the stereotypical dad response of another day in paradise or what have you. You actually mean it.
We actually mean it. It's another day in paradise. That's right. So yeah. So what shall we talk about today?
Let's give the elevator-ish pitch of who you are and why you're even qualified to speak at one of these conferences, just in case we have anybody that's picking this up that has no idea who you are somehow. And, a lot of folks that we have, hopefully these are reaching people who are on the fence and considering coming to PHS and need something like this to push them over the edge.
Sure. So my background is this. I started off in hypnosis, actually first as a magician. Been doing magic for 31 years, comedy hypnosis for 21 years. Vegas performer, as you mentioned, I'm coming up on close to 500 shows at the House of Magic. Prior to that, we had a show here in Vegas called Hypnomania, comedy hypnosis show, obviously. The pandemic took care of that for us. And,
of course.
We restarted after the pandemic, but there was still rules and regulations, so it just didn't work out too well. So we switched over to the other show called the House of Magic, which is the comedy magic show. And but I have been doing hypnosis and magic a long time, toured around the world doing it. Do about anywhere between 200 and 225 shows a year, a combo between magic and hypnosis. So it's fairly evenly split.
Okay.
Hypnosis trainer. I trained with Orman McGill, Jerry Valley in the early days, became part of their training staff, did that for about 15 years. Dan Candell and I did some training programs. Tommy V and I are, possibly going to be doing some other training programs in the future. He was part of the Jerry Valley, Orman McGill, Tommy V program as well. And so Jerry Valley was his dad, actually. So that's kind of my lineage. Written a few books on the topic. Nothing super special. You won't find them on Amazon. Well, maybe you will if you look hard enough. But I just do what I do, and my passion is to help others do what we do and keep the industry safe and sound and in business.
Awesome. So we're talking at PHS. You are presenting about a topic that involves hypnosis, but you're not teaching people about how to perform your standard hypnosis show or tips and tricks from a hypnosis show, but you're taking it to a different level. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So here's what I learned when I started in the early days as a magician. I figured the easy route would be to do school shows. Now, after a while, though, schools got a little tight on their budget and they didn't want just a magic show, or nowadays just a hypnosis show. And so at a lot of these school conferences, they want a show with a message. So I started drifting into the world of, and I hate this term, but it just appropriately describes what I'm talking about, motivational speaking.
Right.
Okay. Right. So I became a motivational speaker and using magic. And I wrote some presentations that had magic tricks that emphasized what I was talking about in the motivational talk. And then I transposed that into the hypnosis world when I got into hypnosis. And so this way you have another product to sell. You're not just selling a hypnosis show. You're not just selling a magic show. You're selling a talk, using the power of the mind, or, unlocking my flagship one was Unleash the Power of Success. That's my flagship presentation in hypnosis. And now I started in the schools though, and worked my way from schools to school conferences, which I actually just got back from a couple of those. This Monday now, so last week, where I got paid a large sum of money to speak at a cool conference. And then a lot of times you can upsell your presentation to a entertainment show that night. And that's exactly what I do. So you get paid not once, but twice.
Awesome.
Now for your skills. After the schools, I then figured, okay, wait a minute, there's a need for this for adults too. So what if you take it into the corporate world, the business world, businesses, private organizations, nonprofits, church groups. I've done this for thousands of groups now because I'm coming up on I think it's about 5,000 to 6,000 presentations, shows, all that stuff lumped together in the 31 years I've been doing this. Which is about right if you do the math. I know a lot of people go, I've done 10 million shows. No, you haven't. Do the math on that, kids. Yeah, I'm coming up on about somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 shows. In the next couple of years, I'll hit about the 6,000 mark, just because I've got the show in Vegas and I'm doing 4 shows a week. So that adds up pretty quickly. Be truthful about your numbers, by the way. So that's kind of the crux of the talk, though, and how to do that. And a lot of people they shy away from it. Like I can't be a motivational speaker. I don't have a story. You know what? You do. You do have a story, and the story is how you help people make changes in their lives, and we can do it in a fun way.
And everybody's got a story.
Everybody has a story.
You may not realize that you have a story, but one of the great things about motivational speaking is making sure that everybody that's in that audience knows that everybody, including them, have a story. And, a lot of people lose that and miss that. Yeah. So are we talking more along the lines of how to take and structure one of these talks, or kind of tailor these talks for the audience? Are we talking about how to approach and reach out and book these types of gigs and events, or a little bit of both?
Yes, a little bit of both.
Wonderful.
Yes to all of that. It's going to be a whirlwind presentation, but you'll see when I go through it, this isn't rocket science, okay? If you can sell a show to somebody, you can sell this to somebody, and how to structure the talk, how to put it together. If I don't remember if I have a 1 hour or 2 hour. I remember at HypnoThoughts, I did this once. I had a 2 hour talk, and I did sort of a modified version of this, drifted more towards clinical hypnotist, but I did my actual presentation first, and then we broke it out. We broke it down. We talked about it, and I said, this is why I said this. This is why I did this. So they got to see the actual live format. If I only have an hour at PHS, I'll just talk about the structure of it. And I'm always willing to share those notes with anybody who needs them. It's a real simple outline. You're going to figure it out fast. Not rocket science. You just get out there, and the main thing is just be authentic.
Yeah.
Be authentic to who you are, what your story is. Try to keep all the embellishments out. This isn't a show. This is more of a presentation. And so be authentic. That's a big deal.
And it's great stuff to have in the arsenal, like you said, because it's the ability to go in and have that 1-2 punch of multiple engagements. You're also traditionally charging more money to groups that have more money
Mm-hmm.
and really have a lot of times within their organizational structure a need. And when I say need, I don't necessarily mean that it would be highly beneficial for them, but sometimes within the bylaws of some of these organizations,
Mm-hmm.
they're required to host and produce events like these. So you are feeling an actual need sometimes for some of these organizations and commanding sometimes a bit of a higher dollar.
Absolutely. And then if you bundle it with the entertainment package, the evening show, now a lot of things happen when you do that because number one, you're doubling your fee now. So that's kind of cool. How would you like to walk into a show and automatically double the fee that you get paid for the show? Or
I'd
even
never say
more
no
than
to
double.
it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that one either. And I haven't. So yeah, you're actually more than doubling it because you do sometimes get paid more for the talk than you do for the show. But whatever, hey, the paycheck still cashes. And also too, I'm going to talk a little bit about. I want to drift back because I didn't answer that question fully. I want to talk about a little bit how to market it too. And again, you're going to find out it's not difficult. You can do that fairly easy, quickly. You can get into this quickly. And it's a little bit of grassroots marketing. It's a little bit of what do they call it? Guerrilla marketing. It's a little bit of boots on ground. Sometimes you got to go to schools, you got to go to businesses, and you actually have to squeeze flesh and shake hands and go to networking events. But if that's the hardest you have to work in life, I will feel no pity for you. Because it certainly beats having what I like to call the quote unquote dreaded real job. And
Yes.
So yeah, it's we just talk to people. That's how we do this. So, but yeah, it's a fun way to take what skills you already have and use them for a different purpose in a similar way. Anthony Gailey's been doing it for years and years and years and very successful. More successful than I'll ever be, I'll say that, because he commands some pretty top dollar fees and he's worth every penny of it. He's a little bit smarter than me. I might be better looking, but I wouldn't tell him that though. He's got good hair. So
this is live and public, and
oh damn it! Okay,
we'll
I
be
love
on
Anthony.
YouTube. Yeah.
I love Anthony Gailey. Anthony Gailey is a sexy man. No, Anthony's a great guy, a friend. I would consider him a friend. I had him speak at one of my hypnosis conferences, and he's outstanding at what he does. Don't just listen to what I have to say. Listen to what he has to say too, because he's also taken this, inspired me to do it too. Really, before I even knew him, and then after I got to meet him. He also, inspired me to continue doing it and to take it to the next level. So check out people like that. I'm not the end all to this information. So I just like sharing what I know and what I've done. And I think it helps people.
Yeah, absolutely. It totally does. And I've talked about this, and yours definitely fits that bill of presentations here that are at the Performing Hypnosis Summit. And I underline that word hypnosis, where there's so much value to be earned and taken away from this, even if you're not into hypnosis, if you're not a hypnotist. There's just so much stuff about for entertainers in general here at the PHS that, a lot of times you go to a magic conference or convention, and obviously you can attest to this because I'm sure you've been to many, many, many of these over the years of being in that world, where it's, hey, we're going to learn this series of tricks, and that's kind of what the lectures look like. Of here, we're going to demo some tricks and then explain these tricks, and the deepest that we're going to get is into the kind of the subtleties of why I say this and not that, and why I look this way when I do this, and whatever those kind of things may be that you're going to get out of a magic convention. So if you are a magician or an entertainer that goes to those types of things looking for that type of material and think, well, I don't do hypnosis, why would I even look into a hypnosis conference? Because not all, but most of these presentations are about how to elevate yourself in the business of entertainment. And that applies obviously for hypnosis and hypnotists. And most of it's going to be delivered directly in that context, but all of it's applicable. All of it's going to be applicable. Well, most of it's going to be applicable. We're talking about, again, how to pivot and use tools that you already know to create a completely different presentation for people, one that you could charge more money for. Here we go.
Right.
And it also may be a way to break into a new market for you, depending on what you're doing currently.
Sure. Sure.
And tons of
Well,
other
and
stuff about elevating your business.
and another thing you can do too, and again, I always tell this to people about any conference and any presentation. Go to some presentations that maybe you don't even think will benefit you. Okay. And like I went to some of the street stuff last year. I don't do really street hypnosis, but I went to them last year at PHS and I want to see the aspect of it. I want to see how they're using it. And it was very, very beneficial. Even on the marketing side, it was extremely beneficial to me. I'm not going to go out and do street hypnosis. That's not my deal. Okay.
Yeah.
But I don't, have a problem with people doing that if they do it correctly. And there's some great things to be learned, even in this presentation that I'm doing. If you don't think you're ever going to do motivational speaking, come and listen anyways, because you may want to add a little motivational message at the very end of your show, just maybe a 2 or 3 sentence one. I started changing my shows in the last 5 years because I do these same school conferences year after year after year. I'm coming up on my 20th year on all of these school conferences I've worked with. That's how long I've worked with them, since I've been doing hypnosis. So I can no longer do just a show with them anymore. They expect something bigger, badder, grander. They want pyrotechnics, flash pots, release the doves. No, I don't do any of that stuff. But I do embellish my show quite a bit. I've even added singing to my show. I've added theatrics to my show. I've added all kinds of different stuff, and definitely a motivational message, even to just a hypnosis show. Doesn't have to take long, 1 or 2 sentences, and I get rebooked 100% of the time because of that.
Now this here, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because this is why I feel that these types of markets that you're talking about are so important. And that you mentioned the work that needs to get done. I know you're going to talk about it at the conference. You've also written a book that I know is on Amazon about how to approach the high school market. And this is both for fundraiser and assembly shows. But the key point is this: the work of booking these shows is so front loaded, because the rebook rate, I mean, especially in the school market specifically, and I know that you've branched this out to other stuff, but when I do a show at a high school, they are so excited at the end of that show and literally ready to come up to me with the book, with the calendar, to be like, this is the date that we have for the next one. Does it work for you? You are talking about putting in a decent amount of work. I'm not even going to say a ton of work, because it's not the amount of work that really rises to the level of a, quote, as you mentioned, real job. And the vast majority of these, sans administration changes and things that obviously are somewhat unavoidable to you, but for the most part, you are going to consistently book these gigs year in and year out. So it really can be the kind of thing where, hey, look, I did 50 of them this year, and I'm going to do those 50 next year, and I'm going to find 50 more, which means next year I'm doing 100. And in year 3, I'm at 100 plus, however much work I want to put into it. You determine what that number is. Right.
And you don't have to reforage for it every year.
Right. You're either booking those dates on the fly, or you're circling back around to people that you're already well in touch with.
Most of my school conferences will have a contract with the resort, hotel, convention center where they do their school conferences. Those contracts range anywhere from 3 years to 6 years. I've had school conferences that have booked me for 6 years in advance.
Yeah, I mean, if they know the dates, why not solidify them and make sure that the guy that they want is there when they need them, or the gal that they want is there when they need them.
And a lot of these school conferences and a lot of business groups, especially sales organizations, they have a spring and a fall meeting. So that means now you're booking twice a year, not just once a year. And let's face it, if you get in with one good company, I won't tell you what Anthony charges, but he charges a lot. I won't tell you what Marshall Silver charges, but he charges a lot. But if you think about it, if you could walk into a company and get them to put you on retainer for their 2 conferences a year for a couple years, that's well over 6 figures.
Yeah. One company. Not bad work. And you just redouble that and find another one. And it's, we're not going to get into a big time sales talk here, but it's churning through no's to pile up your yeses. And that's that, and as long as you're doing a good enough show that people enjoy, which if you're not, you probably shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
You're going to rebook. You're going to rebook over and over again. And again, all that work is front loaded.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of making sure that you stay in touch with the right people, get the dates on the calendar, and boom, move forward. And I love to bring this up because people talk about having difficulty finding gigs and there aren't enough this and there aren't enough that. And I just say, stop. Consider the school market. You're in Clark County, right? Clark County, Nevada.
Clark County, Nevada, yeah.
You may not know this, and you weren't expecting the pop quiz, but approximately how many high schools are in Clark County, Nevada?
Well, Clark County is a massive county.
Yeah.
There's probably about, I want to say 150 plus high schools in Clark County, Nevada, I'm guessing. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know the answer to that question. Because Clark County is so vast, it goes into some of the smaller rural areas that I probably won't go to because I don't need to. So I'm guessing
because there's enough work in literally within a comfort zone of you driving to stay busy year in and year out.
I will tell you this: when I lived in Southern Arizona, because I've lived in Nevada for 6 years now, Las Vegas. When I lived in Arizona, there were 12 high schools in Tucson where I lived, but within a 100-mile radius, that tripled. And now I'm gonna just throw out some numbers at you, not a pitch for anything here, but because I don't want to get too deep in the presentation. But out of let's just say 50 high schools, okay, every high school, if you're just going to do fundraising shows, forget about the motivational speaking stuff right now, because that's going to actually come on top of that just by accident, okay? Out of 50 high schools, every high school has 70 fundraisers a year on campus. All right. And that's within a 100-mile radius. So what, 70 times 50 is 3,500?
Yeah.
I don't know. I suck at math. So, so yeah, 3,500 fundraisers a year. If you can't get, 50 of those, then you're probably not working.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's not hard. You got to get off the couch. The hardest part is just getting off the couch. So now, and again, you're gonna get some presentations, some motivational presentations out of that, because the principal is going to hear what you're doing, and they're going to go, hey, can you talk to our district, or can you come to our staff development meeting? And yeah, I'll do a staff development meeting for 30 or 40 teachers and the principal and a few admins for a couple $1,000.
Yeah,
I'll do that all day long.
Exactly. So tons of stuff to learn here.
Yeah.
2025 Performing Hypnosis Summit. If anything, get to Las Vegas when it's cold where you are, because it's probably going to be cold where you are in January. And while it's not going to be 115 degrees in January in Las Vegas, at least it shouldn't be, it's going to be nice. And you get to hang out with cool people like Michael DeSchalit.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And let me just say something about this conference. It is a cool conference. It's just smaller than most, but you know what, though? That's okay. And it's growing this year too. So I don't know how big it'll be this year, but it'll be bigger than last year, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's small and intimate. So it's, how do the young kids say it, Joe Beth? It's chill. It's chill. You can just chill. You just hang out. It's a great hangout because you're hanging out in a learning environment. The chairs are not in straight rows always because we move them around. We just kind of sit there and listen, and everybody kind of chimes in, and everybody's supportive and helps each other. It's a really cool time, and it's a great learning environment, and it'll be fun. Plus, it's in Vegas, so what could possibly go wrong there? And if I'm working that weekend, which I think I am, there'll be some discounts to my shows as well too. So if you want to come and see my show, I think Jim and Grant already have that plan for one of the nights out. I don't know,
I
but
think so.
there's also a ton of other shows too. But I know last year y'all, a bunch of y'all came to my show, so that was cool. And it was in a skanky little nightclub at the time, because we were in between showrooms, and it's like, ooh. And I don't care that that's online, because
Hey, it works.
They closed down. They're out of business.
Oh, okay.
Bye. See you later. Bye-bye. Yeah. And so, but it worked for the time being, and we had fun. So
Excellent. Well, I appreciate your time. I hope to see more people out at PHS 2025 learning all the great stuff from you and the others. Any last thoughts before we let everybody on their way?
Come to PHS, support hypnosis, stage hypnosis, what we need.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much, Michael. I will see you in Vegas.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning in to the Between Two Minds Behind the Scenes podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media under Between Two Minds with the number 2 instead of TWO, or under Enter the Impossible. Thank you, and we hope to see you back for the next episode.